The MC smiled and said, "Oh, I didn't expect Miss Shui to be so touched. The marriage must have been long awaited. This is really a match made by God, consensual, and made in heaven. Let us all wish the couple a happy new marriage and love each other with applause. A bright future and a safe life." Bella almost collapsed when she heard this, squatting on the ground, burying her face deep in her arms, crying. The MC picked her up and said with emotion, "It seems that our bride is very excited. Let us interview our groom. May I ask Mr. Sun Dewang, how do you feel about being able to marry such a young and beautiful wife?" Sun Dewang chuckled and said, "I am very excited." The MC smiled and asked, "Then Mr. Sun Dewang, do you have the urge to chant a poem?" Sun Dewang said with embarrassment, "I haven't gone to school much, I don't have much culture, so can't just chant poems." The MC said again, "Today the parents of our bride, Shui Jing, have also arrived at our wedding. I would like to ask the groom, Mr. Sun Dewang, do you have anything to say to your future mother-in-law and father-in-law?" Sun Dewang looked at the audience. Shui Xinlong and his wife, whose expressions were crying without tears, waved at them with a little restraint, and said, "Please rest assured, I will definitely face the quiet." "There is one more sentence," Sun Dewang wanted to ask, but he was not ashamed to ask. He wanted to ask Shui Xinlong, his future father-in-law, whether the 50 million dowry that he said before counts. But he was afraid that after he asked this sentence, Shui Xinlong would come up to hammer him, so he could only give up. At this time, the MC said to Shui Xinlong and his wife, "Come on, let's invite our bride Shui Jing's parents to stage." The Sun family has become a blank applause machine at this time. Shui Xinlong could only go on stage with his wife. The master of ceremonies smiled and said, "Please ask the man's father-in-law to stand in front of our groom." Shui Xinlong and his wife stood in front of Sun Dewang with unnatural expressions. The MC smiled and said, "Groom officer, I ask you, who is standing in front of you?" Sun Dewang hurriedly said, "It's my father-in-law." The MC smiled and said, "Is it still called father-in-law? Should I change my tongue?" Sun Dewang smirked awkwardly, and said hurriedly, "Yes, it should be changed." With that said, he hurriedly called out to Shui Xinlong and his wife, "Dad, Mom." Shui Xinlong's face was extremely ugly. This bastard, who is about the same age as himself, calls him dad. Although I don't have a son, I don't want such a cheap son. Seeing that he did not respond, the MC hurriedly said, "Is it a bit too excited to be a parent? You forgot to respond to the bridegroom officer so excited." This is the first time the bridegroom officer changed his words. "Isn't the father-in-law showing anything?" Shui Xinlong said with a gloomy expression, "I was in a hurry to go out today and forgot to prepare the red envelope." Sun Dewang said hurriedly, "It's okay, it's okay, red envelopes are forgotten." The MC said with a smile, "Since he has changed his mouth, the groom should knock his head and bring a cup of tea to his father-in-law and mother-in-law, and let our staff bring the tea." Sun Dewang asked awkwardly, "Cow my head?" Naturally, Sun Dewang was not happy to kowtow in front of so many people. After all, he is more than 50 years old, this face is really a bit embarrassing. But Master of Ceremonies said seriously at this time, "Groom officer, today is your big wedding day. 2 families are combined into one family. Not only do you have a young and beautiful wife, but you also have a couple of parents who love you. Parents, we Chinese have been showing the most filial piety since ancient times, so we kneel and kowtow to our parents. That is a matter of tradition, of course. Why you hesitate? Besides, the tradition of our Chinese marriage is to give tea to both parents." When Shui Xinlong's wife heard this, she burst into tears. It is true that 2 families form a family, but she really doesn't want her daughter to start a family with this old thing. But now there is no retreat, she can only watch it. Sun Dewang was told by the MC at this time that he was somewhat unable to get off the stage, so he had to kneel on the ground, first kowtow to Shui Xinlong and called dad, then kowtow to Shui Xinlong's wife and called her mom. The couple looked at each other, feeling extremely depressed. At this time, the staff hurriedly moved 2 chairs and asked Shui Xinlong and his wife to sit side by side. Then Master of Ceremonies said to Sun Dewang. It was supposed to be the bride and groom who bowed their heads to offer tea to both parents, but the parents of the bridegroom officer didn't come today, so let's let the bride and groom serve only tea to the woman's parents. The crying red-eyed bride could only come to her parents reluctantly and knelt beside Sun Dewang. The staff immediately brought them 2 cups of tea and handed them to Sun Dewang. Sun Dewang took a cup and said to Shui Xinlong with a red face, "Dad, drink tea." Shui Xinlong couldn't wait to splash this cup of tea directly on his face, so naturally he didn't want to pick it up. But he raised his eyes and took a look, and found that Isik was in the audience, looking at him with a gloomy expression, and suddenly shrank his neck, and hurriedly reached out and took the tea from Sun Dewang. Sun Dewang took another cup of tea, handed it to Shui Xinlong's wife, and said, "Mom, you have tea." Shui Xinlong's wife was even more annoyed, and 10,000 times unwilling to drink the cup of tea he respected. So before she reached out to pick it up, Sun Dewang held the cup of tea in the air. After a while, he felt a little sore in his arms and felt embarrassed in his heart. Shui Xinlong hurriedly winked at his wife. What he fears most now is that Isik has opinions on him. He dare not make him angry anyway. Shui Xinlong's wife found her husband glared at herself fiercely. She could only grit her teeth, reached out her hand to take the cup of tea, and drank it.